I guess kind of the last question I have on this is, have you ever just for giggles, like messed around with insulin timing to try to build muscle, try to things like that? I'm just curious, like kind of how, not suggesting that people go do that,
right,
but just to highlight sort of the importance or lack thereof of like timing insulin with post-workout or things like that.
So this gets more into the personal experience category, where I have found that, there's some evidence that shows that an insulin spike associated with like things like carbohydrate consumption can help facilitate augmentation of glycogen storage or resynthesis in the context of exercise, augment or increase muscle protein synthesis. But what about in the context of type 1 diabetes? I will tell you that it is my experience that, having insulin post, a workout, not necessarily through rapid acting carbohydrates, that's actually a really bad idea in type 1 diabetes for a lot of reasons. Peripheral insulin administration is so much slower than what's produced in your body. So when my glucose levels go up in my body, I can inject insulin, but it takes about anywhere between 3 to 4 times slower for the exogenous insulin to even reach bloodstream versus it can go into the bloodstream within seconds to minutes. So that's why carbohydrates is so hard to manage and frankly are unreliably able to be managed in the context of type 1 diabetes. But you can really, let me back up for a second because I think I've lost your question here, Tom.
Manipulating insulin as a type of
yeah. So you can try these things. What I found is that yes, there is something to be said about having insulin exposure post workout and what it can do for subsequent bouts of exercise the following days. That definitely seems to matter for me. But I also exercise every single day, so maybe it's only unique to me because I am so frequent in exercising. So the acute window is maybe a little bit more important. But in general, I think most of the literature highlights that that a lot of that's kind of washed out, right? Like over the 24-hour window, if you get sufficient amount of calories and nutrients, and you habituate to a diet that's sufficient in essential nutrients, that everything else kind of washes out for the most part.